Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we explore sources listeners send in, aiming to get you well-informed, fast. Today, we're diving into some really interesting material on ancient Eastern wisdom, specifically the energetic side of your home's entrance.
Exactly. And this comes from a listener who, wants knowledge efficiently, loves those aha moments, but definitely wants to skip the information overload.
Right. So that's our goal today. Unpack this idea. Is the entrance just a door, or is it something more?
And that leads us to the big question, doesn't it?
It does. Could that seemingly ordinary doorway actually be shaping things like, well, your prosperity, your peace of mind, maybe even your health and relationships?
It sounds a bit out there at first, maybe, but these concepts have incredibly deep roots, centuries old.
Okay, let's get into it. Where do we start?
Well, the first thing that jumps out is the basic difference in perspective. Here in the West, we often see our homes as basically physical structures, shelter, place for stuff.
Sure, practical.
But in many Eastern traditions, think Buddhism, ancient Chinese, Feng Shui, Japanese customs, the home is seen as much more. It's almost like a reflection of your spirit, a sacred temple even.
A sacred space. Okay, I see. And the entrance fits into that how?
It becomes this really key point,
Yeah.
a threshold, not just physical, but symbolic.
A transition zone.
Exactly, between the outside world and your inner sanctuary, between, say, chaos and harmony, even, potentially, between lack and abundance. It's that critical boundary.
That makes sense. It reminds me of the Japanese practice of taking off shoes before going inside.
Precisely. That's a perfect example. It seems simple, maybe just about cleanliness, but there's a deeper layer. It's a conscious act of separating, of leaving the outside world's energies, the stress, the dirt, whatever, at the door.
To keep the inside pure.
To preserve that inner tranquility, yeah.
Okay, so what if that entrance isn't treated with that kind of respect? What if it's, cluttered, messy, neglected?
Well, this is where the source material gets really interesting. It suggests that a neglected entrance, one that's maybe energetically dirty or charged with negativity, it can actually function like an invisible barrier. It can hinder the flow of positive energy coming into your home.
And that blockage could have real-world effects.
That's the idea presented. Things like opportunities getting delayed, money seeming to slip away, maybe relationships feeling strained, or even just a general feeling of being run down or stuck.
It's easy to hear that and think, oh, that's just superstition.
And the text acknowledges that potential reaction. But it frames it less as superstition and more about, energy, about intention, and maybe a connection to something bigger.
Okay. Is there any sort of modern parallel to this idea?
Actually, yeah. Think about how we react to clutter in general. A messy desk, a disorganized room.
Makes it hard to focus. Stressful.
Right. There's even neuroscience suggesting that visual clutter can trigger stress responses in the brain, making concentration harder. So the idea that external disorder can affect our internal state isn't totally out of left field.
That's a good point. So this source material talks about the home having an energy field.
Like an overall vibe or atmosphere. And the entrance is crucial for maintaining a healthy flow within that field. Yeah. A neglected one can kind of close it off, block the good stuff from getting in.
So if it's blocked, how do we unblock it? How do we make that entrance more, welcoming, energetically?
The core idea seems to be about bringing presence and intention to that space.
Presence, like just paying attention to it.
Exactly. Caring for the entrance becomes an act of mindfulness, of acknowledging its significance, reconnecting with the idea of your home as perhaps sacred space.
It's almost like sending a signal, isn't it?
That's how the material presents it. Like the universe, or life force, or whatever you want to call it, notices these quiet gestures.
And if your doorway is overflowing with junk, maybe the unconscious signal is no room for anything new here.
Precisely. No space for positive influences, opportunities, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
You contrast that with walking into a space that feels good, harmonious, welcoming.
You feel it immediately. A sense of peace, maybe? Calm?
Right. That entrance sets the tone. It tells you, and maybe the universe too, that this is a space open to good things.
Okay, this is fascinating. Now, the source we looked at goes into a specific practice, right? A Buddhist ritual.
Yes, a ritual described as being centuries old from the Orient, specifically aimed at clearing the entrance to, open the doors to prosperity, peace, health, love, the good stuff.
All right, let's break that down. What are the steps?
Okay, step one is about timing.
Yeah.
Interestingly, while it mentions the waxing moon, The period when the moon is growing is ideal because it represents expansion.
Right, growth energy.
It strongly emphasizes that your intention is the most critical factor. So really, you can do it anytime you feel genuinely ready for a shift.
Good. No need to wait for a specific moon phase. If you feel the pull now, what do you need for it?
It's actually quite simple. You need a bucket of water. Rainwater is suggested as ideal for its sort of natural purity, but tap water is totally fine.
Okay, water. What else?
A handful of unrefined sea salt. That's a classic symbol of purification, believed to absorb negative energies.
Salt. Got it. And one more thing.
3 bay leaves. These are said to symbolize the balance of body, mind, and spirit, and also to help activate prosperity and harmony.
Water, salt, bay leaves. Pretty accessible. So you've got your ingredients. What's next? Step 3.
Step 3 is about blessing the mixture. You take a wooden spoon. Wood connects to earth energy, grounding the intention.
Okay.
And you stir the salt and bay leaves into the water.
Yeah.
While you're stirring, you state either out loud or just mentally, but with real conviction, I am ready to receive prosperity, light, and abundance.
And you repeat that.
Yeah, repeat it as you stir, really focusing your intention, feeling it. You're essentially charging the water with your readiness.
I like that focus on intention. It's not just mechanical. Okay, mixture blessed. Now what?
Step 4 is the cleaning itself, and the direction matters. You clean from the outside, moving inwards.
Outside in. Okay.
Take a clean cloth, dip it in the mixture, and you wash the outer surface of your front door, the floor of the entrance area, the threshold, and the door frame.
And as you're physically cleaning?
You visualize. You imagine that with each wipe, you're actively pushing away negativity, scarcity, blocks, stagnation, missed opportunities, all that stuff. It's physical cleaning, but it's also an energetic and emotional clearing.
So it's symbolic action coupled with visualization. What about visualizing the positive?
That's step 5. While you're cleaning, or right after, you imagine this brilliant, warm, golden light flowing into your home through that cleansed entrance. See it filling the space, bringing lightness, clarity, openness.
Okay. Filling the void left by clearing the negativity.
Exactly. And visualize that light filling you too, bringing renewal, energy, rejuvenation. Take deep breaths. Connect with that feeling of readiness you cultivated.
That sounds powerful. So clean outside in while pushing away the bad, then visualize golden light filling the space and yourself. Is that it?
Almost. Step 6 is repetition. The ritual is meant to be done for 3 days in a row.
3 consecutive days. Why 3?
The idea is that repetition intensifies the signal you're sending out, creates a sort of wave of manifestation, reinforces the intention.
Okay. And what might someone expect after doing this for 3 days?
The text suggests you might start to notice shifts. Maybe initially just a feeling lighter, more peaceful, clearer, but then perhaps small, tangible changes start appearing. Unexpected calls, opportunities popping up, problems maybe resolving a bit easier, a sense of flow returning.
Interesting. So it's a fairly straightforward process over 3 days? Beyond the steps, what's the sort of deeper takeaway here?
Well, the source frames it as more than just cleaning. It's presented as, really, an act of faith, of trust, of consciously choosing to reconnect with life's natural abundance.
By tending to your physical space, you're tending to your energy.
Exactly. You're caring for this vital portal. And in doing so, you're signaling your openness to the positive aspects of life: prosperity, peace, health, love.
It really drives home that link between our outer world and inner state. So the text kind of leaves us with a challenge, doesn't it?
It does. A direct question for you, the listener. What's stopping you from trying this simple 3-day practice, if anything?
And maybe more compellingly, what could be waiting for you on the other side of that door once you've intentionally cleared the way?
Yeah.
Gives you pause for thought.
Definitely. So just to recap the core idea we've explored today from this ancient wisdom.
Yeah.
Your home's entrance isn't just architecture. It carries real energetic significance.
Yeah.
It can genuinely influence the flow of your life, for better or worse.
So we'd really encourage you to just take a moment, maybe later today, and really look at your own entrance. How does it feel? What's the energy like when you come home?
And maybe take it a step further. How do you want to feel when you cross that threshold? What kind of energy do you want greeting you?
Because, as we've discussed, this perspective suggests that life, the universe, it responds to these things. How you care for your space, especially this key entry point, it matters.
Yeah, it sends a message.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. What if, by engaging consciously with this space, even through a simple act of cleaning with intention, what if you really are opening the door?
What if the abundance, the peace, the connections you're looking for are right there just waiting for you to consciously, intentionally open that door and welcome them in? Something to consider.